gracious, John. You know, I gotta review a video game for this month, but I don't like video games. They just don't make games like they used to. You know, I don't review like I used to. Ray Liotta's eyelashes! It's Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. I reviewed this last spring, back when I didn't know how to do a Premiere Pro. It hasn't even been a year yet and there's already over 1,000 of you. So in order to express my gratitude, I'm going to be starting up a new series called The Good, The Fun, and The Ugly. The Good, The Fun, and The Ugly, which I already fucked up, but that's okay, we got a good cut. We got a good cut.
Fuck you.
The Good, The Fun, and The Ugly will look at game series and decide which entry from that series best fits into the example of good, fun, or ugly. So to kick off the first episode, I'm going back to a classic. And I'm going to figure out which game from the Castlevania series is good, which game is fun, and which game is ugly. But let's start on the positive note of the good. What is Rondo of Blood? Rondo of Blood is an older Castlevania and the last of the classic style. It came out for the TurboGrafx 16. Yeah, that's probably why you haven't heard of it, and it actually has pretty high praises from quite a bit of review sources, including me! Now the game was ported to the SNES and later to the PSP. The PSP remake did pretty well for itself, but the SNES remake was generally disregarded as the worst port. That's mostly because it didn't really hold up to the original and took out a lot of elements. Still a pretty good game though. It takes place chronologically 5 years before Symphony of the Night, and in the intro of the latter games you actually play as Richter, or should I say Charlie Sheen from Platoon, or just Blue Ryu from Street Fighter. Yeah, that worked. See, the one problem with this game at the start is, why does this man have a tailored suit? It's like 1790 whatever. The Oregon Trail, you couldn't even go there yet. The game wasn't out, the actual state wasn't out either, it wasn't released yet. Why does he look like Patrick Bateman? He's very well dressed. It's also the first Castlevania that started the anime-esque style of artwork. I mean, for the characters and cutscenes. Still few occur within game. Well, that's all the information you guys probably need on this gem. So let's whip it good!
God damn it, Sam, I fucking hate you.
Don't be Sam, it's beautiful.
Alright, so I named myself, go through the intro, not gonna talk about this guy's tailored suit again. Keep going. Alright, sweet, here we are, we're riding in the rain. Definitely a pretty cool opener to get you prepared and to get your Vania legs back. You get veiny legs from this. Death shows up and he's all, "Hey, I'm spooky." Whoa! I just wanna break you down so badly. Everything you said. And then he proceeds to try to kill you, apparently. The only thing is he can't kill you. He's just a quick opener boss. Tutorial thing? Either way, he's a great idea and puts you right into the mindset you have to be in. Did you learn everything? No. But do you know how to jump, move, and whip now? Yeah, Rondo starts out on a great note by allowing you to be comfortable with the game through your own actions. And this segment doesn't overstay its welcome. It's done relatively quick, but unless you want to stand there and take damage, you'll figure out the very basic parts of Castlevania right before you head into town. What? I recognize this song. Yeah! That's what I'm talking about! And it brings us to the first thing you'll notice about Rondo of Blood if you're a big Castlevania fan. It borrows from all the past games. The first stage has the music of Castlevania 1, the feel of the first stage of Castlevania 3, and the lovingly constructed setting of one of the towns from Simon's Quest. And they did this with a lot of detail. The towns are almost exact replicas, which I find to be completely awesome, and damn does that whip feel good. It doesn't have the diagonal feature like in Super Castlevania, but Christ, it still feels great to use and is super responsive. Not immediate, but a little little bit less clunky. This makes sense because the game is a little bit more action-packed. And that's one reason I really think Rondo of Blood is one of the best made Castlevanias. Everything is a lot more improved, but borrows a lot from the older games, so it's very familiar if you've already grown up with Castlevania. Let's see what this game takes from older Castlevanias and uses them to make them work. For instance, in the original Castlevania, you retain the classic formula. You jump, you do not have a set trajectory that can be controlled when you do jump, making it a wise decision to look before you leap, as well as a delay on your whip. Items are also given to you when they best suit the job. However, unlike Castlevania, Rondo took it one step further. It was no longer necessary to have the weapon in order to complete your objective. New super attacks and mobility tweaks made it much easier for Richter to use any item for almost any situation. So for example, even if the axe is the best choice for the battle, I'm better with the cross boomerang, so I can adapt this more malleable game style to the items I want to use. Unlike Super Castlevania, where the whip can be used for everything, in Rondo, a sub-weapon is still needed and used for lots of different scenarios. Now you can become adept with a weapon of choice. Like the daggers? Stick to the daggers! Want to use the Bible? What the fuck? Stick to the daggers! And there are different scenarios aplenty. All of the best parts of Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse were also added to Rondo. And this added a unique and fun experience each time you played. Unlike Castlevania 1 and 2, Castlevania 3 had a bit more replayability, in theory. You see, Castlevania 3 had 2 new additions to the entire series, switchable characters and alternate paths. The idea behind this was to make the game more replayable, and it would have worked. However, there was one problem with Castlevania 3. Castlevania 3 is hard. Like Jay-Z hard. But Rondo of Blood tuned down the difficulty. Thank God. You see, with Castlevania 3, it's like there's a ton of potential there to make a great game with tons of awesome additions. Ones that were in the right direction, unlike Simon's Quest. They complemented the linear style of the game, but adding choices within linear bounds. Try to think of Star Fox for an example. Star Fox 64 does this perfectly by letting you pick which way to go throughout your adventure, which adds tons of replayability.
But enough talk!
However, Castlevania 3 is just really difficult. Unenjoyably difficult. And if you were to strip that from the formula, Castlevania 3 would, at least in my opinion, been one of the best NES Castlevanias, and would have rivaled Rondo and Super Castlevania 4. Beat the game? Oh, sweet! I'm gonna try to take on the other path and play as Alucard, Grant, or Sypha, but no! It's just not casual enough for that. Rondo is. You can easily beat the game in an hour or so, which is a little short for a game during the early 90s, but hey, you can play as Maria if you want, which adds a whole new slew of attacks to try. There's also different paths you can take within the game to spice things up. It adds meat to the bones of the game. I always use this, and rather than games which add little things like grinding, that's like adding fat and grizzle. If you truly want to add replayability and you want to play the game immediately after and really explore the world you're in, that's how you increase replayability and length of a game. That being said, Rondo of Blood is a pretty hard game, and you'll still die plenty of times. In fact, you're probably going to get used to Richter's death scream. But I really do love that death scream. In fact, it'd be great to see it in the place of a lot of other noises in my life. And that cinematic, that intensity, that comes straight out of Castlevania 4. Now, Castlevania 4 is another great game that came out around the same time as Rondo and acted as a reboot of the first. That's not really a reboot in story, but more so gameplay-wise. And Rondo of Blood brings storytelling and cinematics to a whole new level. Within the first few minutes of the game, we've seen a horse carriage boss fight in a burning town. This really gave an idea as to what it's like in the world of Castlevania when Dracula awakens. I mean, for all we know, in the original Castlevania, Dracula could have just been hanging out in his house, and Simon, after a hard day's work in the coal mines, is just fed up with Dracula's blatant disregard of building codes. That's not even possible. You cannot float a chamber with stairs. Rondo gives us that feeling that something's not quite right here, and with the burning town and whatnot, even seconds into the castle, you hear a crash, and smashed through the windows is a giant ox beast ghost. So you're frantically striding away until you outsmart the behemoth, and you return to jumping and whipping shit. And there's tons of battles like this, with well thought out scenery and music. Now the music rehashes your Castlevania classics, with some nice newer tracks to really hit that familiarity home. And that's how I really see Rondo of Blood. It's like the first 4 Castlevanias were drafts onto the final report, the final edition being remaking Rondo of Blood. All the best things stayed and all the worst parts were taken out or substituted for something that fit better. For example, Richter can't crack his whip in any direction. He does come with a backflip though, which increases mobility, while not compromising strategy. There's tons of other examples which illustrate how Rondo is a perfect Classicvania game. And it doesn't take a classic fan long to feel like Rondo is a home away from home. And that's why concerning Castlevania, Rondo of Blood starts out our trio as the good. Thanks for watching. Good. Alright, and then let me go grab Simon's Quest real quick. Hey!
Again with the
Yeah. You can stop recording now.
Yes.
Look at this plate of lasagna!
No.
Look at this guy! Could hurt himself. Could. I don't have any Neosporin on me. That's what? Damn it!
You.
I didn't.
You're the reason the sneeze went back inside my body.
Okay, don't let me even stop it. It's been a year. How did you get it so it's not my arm anymore?
I'm pretty fucking good at this.
You didn't zoom out.
Fuck you!
How did you do that?
There's buttons!
That's magical. Alright.
You just had to move now.
It's been a year. No?
You.
Look at this whiskey on the rocks! He could have hurt himself!
Fun.
Look at this margarita pizza!
Fun.
Look at these collard greens! Yeah!
I went through one. No, I'm not on frame, don't worry about it.
Okay. No, I feel like you're gonna do something.
Don't do a damn thing.
Okay, well. The game was ported to the SNES and was later ported to the. What are you gonna do? You're gonna do something. You just want to
I
sit.
just want to sit down.
There's a chair right there, Bill.
I know, there's several chairs. We're in a room full of chairs, this is what a lounge is. You can lounge in chairs, I'll just fucking do the line.
Just do one like this. The game was ported to the. No! What are you doing?
Don't touch me with your foot!
I'm sorry, Jim.
Rapist.